This is Scott Cornell, and in this video, we're going to talk about using Visual Studio Code along with GitHub to complete an exercise assigned to you this week in Assignment 5.1, the Mountain Wheels Tours. That one is found in the textbook on page 163 through 165. If you'll notice on page 163, they give you a brief description and a screenshot of exactly what it should look like. And then all the instructions are on page 164 with the final one on top of page 165. On the screen here, we're going to get started in just a moment, but I want you to kind of take a look at what I've got laid out. I do have the Visual Studio Code open, and up at the top, I've got my folder where all of my assignments are kept this quarter. Each of the assignments I've completed before, my student data files, my index, all in row here. And this is the actual what the website will be toward the end. And we'll talk more about that as we get closer toward the end here. I also have gone ahead and opened up GitHub. And you can see that I've got the same structure here that I have inside of Visual Studio Code. They should match at this point. Everything is completely updated. In fact, if I hit synchronize here, just in case there were any changes that were coming or going, that will update everything to where at this point everything is as clean and possible as it possibly can be. So now with all of that open, I have not copied the files. I haven't done even step 1 on page 164 yet. So what I want to do is get started with that first. So now, back in Visual Studio Code, I don't even have an Assignment 5 folder at this point. What I want to do is go ahead and create that and add the files, but before I do that, following the GitHub workflow, we have to actually make a branch first. Now remember, making branches is as simple as coming down to where the branch is that you're currently on. Main is that blue one that we saw in the other video, that's that straight one, that this is the one that's always forward-facing, always running, and always perfect. You don't want to make changes to main. So instead, we make a branch, and I'm going to create a new branch. And I'm going to call this week 5. And remember, all lowercase, all dashes, no spaces. And I'm going to do it as, since I've used some of this already before in my prep for this, I'm going to still use Mountain Wheels. But I'm just going to use 2-digit numbers for this one since I use the 3-digit on the others. So mine are week 5. MW for Mountain Wheels because all the files in this exercise have MW something, and then O1 for my first branch. Next branch will be O2, of course, and so forth. The way I've got mine planned out, I'm going to have a total of 12 branches for 21 steps, and I'll explain that after we get through the first few parts. In part 1 of this video, we're going to actually do step 1, 2, and 3, and that's probably going to be it because it takes a little while to get started with this just to get the pattern built. So right here's step 1. I'm going to press enter. Notice that it puts me on that branch. And I need to go ahead and push that branch out to Git or to GitHub. Now at this point, once that stops spinning, if I want to go out to GitHub and verify that it's there, I can do that right here by going to branches. And I can see that there's a main. Here's the MW01 that is right now the one that I'm sitting on. I normally don't do that, but just to show you, once you hit that sync, that does produce something you can go and measure and make sure it's right. Now that we have a branch, we can start making some changes, which is step 2 or 3 in the assignment from the list I gave you. So I'm going to right-click and make a new folder. And this is Assignment 5. Inside that folder, I need everything for Mountain Wheels. That is stuff from the textbook, student data files from the textbook. They are in Chapter 2, HTML02, and they are Case 2. So I'm going to copy all of Case 2 and place that in my Assignment 5 folder by just right-clicking and pasting on the folder. And there's all my files. Yes, they are green, meaning that they're not saved or anything yet. They are changes that are untracked changes in GitHub. That just means that GitHub knows that they're there. You'll see they show up as 4 files in source control. But right now they're not tracked because we haven't made a commit and put them into the actual project. Always remember that when you're working here, you're on the local side. Back here is the remote. So we're working locally here, and these changes are not tracked locally, and they're not even existent on the remote. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is complete step 1. That's why I gave this an O1 in the beginning here. They don't need us to do anything with this. They want us to open up Tour. And so I double click to open it, and styles. Notice that in Visual Studio, those show up here at the top as things that are open in your editor, also show up in the tabs here. And what they want us to do is to add our names here, as always, and the date. I'm going to do that to the other file as well, so I'm going to copy both of those lines and find that location here and just paste on top of it. Mine has an extra space there, but I'll show you some tools in a later video that'll actually show you how to fix that pretty easily. The other thing they want us to do is to save the file names, and this is something a few students have missed. So make sure in Visual Studio you can just right click on the name and rename it even though it's open. And I'm going to take out the TXT, specifically the underscore TXT, and do the same thing for tour. And now those files are finished. And in fact, as I look at these, I'm finished with step 1 on page 164. Now remember, whenever you're making these changes, you need to find discrete changes. In other words, limited changes. You don't want to open up a branch, make changes 1 through 20, and then make that one big push or one big merge out to the GitHub. So we're doing this in smaller chunks. Now that we have these, I'm going to make sure everything is saved. It says I have 2 unsaved, so I'm going to hit Save All. Out here it says there's 4 files or 4 pending changes. So once I've made my changes, I go to the source control here. It shows me what's there. In fact, I can click on each one of these and look at the files, but instead I'm going to just say very simply, completed step 1. And again, since this is an academic textbook exercise, that's a good enough description. Most of your commit statements or commit messages should be in the very beginning a past tense verb. What did you do? So it should be completed, finished, edited, added, deleted, something like that. And then a short description. You only have a few letters here. This is shorter than a Twitter message, so you got to be a lot more brief here. Once we get over to GitHub, you can actually make this a lot more descriptive. So I'm going to go ahead and commit that, and that commits it here locally. To make it go to GitHub, I'll hit the synchronize here. It tells me there's 0 changes coming in, 1 going out. Notice the little blue bar, the little Larson scanner bar at the top. Go out here and already GitHub knows something's just happened. So on this branch, it says I've had a recent push, which yes, that when I synchronize it pushed. Now in the instructions, this looks like a lot of steps, but I'm going to go through this very quickly because there's not a lot to add. We compare and pull. If we need extra comments here of what exactly we did, we can do that, but these are your individual projects, probably don't need that. So I create the pull request. It does all the comparing back there, telling us it's checking. It's already changed, it's finished. So I'm going to merge that and confirm merge. When it gets back to purple, I usually go back to code, just so I'm back sort of my home base here. And then one last thing that a lot of folks have missed in the past, make sure when you come back to Visual Studio Code, you actually get back to your main branch. And notice it says these files are actually deleted there, but they're not once we refresh. So go to the main and hit synchronize or refresh. Then everything's there. It says the files are not missing. In fact, if we go back to our structure, everything is no longer green, meaning that everything is current and up to date. And that's it. That's the whole process. Now, again, I've got 12 branches I want to do here total. This will be a series of probably 3 videos is what I'm planning. I hope to get a little more squeezed in, but I'm going to try to keep these around 10 minutes so that they don't. So I'm going to do these next 2 pretty quickly. So first step, we're on to step 2. Going to create a branch. And publish it or push it. It wants us to link the 2 style sheets now, so that's back here that they want us to actually add the link tags. And notice since I am in Visual Studio Code, it tries to help me by putting these things together so that I can actually get them a lot quicker. So I can actually just grab, I want layout, It doesn't do that with everything like this. It doesn't know to do style sheets. But it does make some of this a little easier. Yeah, it was trying to help me there. All right, so that's it for step 2. At this point, we can actually change these, save these. One thing that we didn't do when we made the first changes is go look at them. So I'm going to go actually look at this file. And that's what it looks like. It has the layout, but no colors. And again, if we go back and look in our style sheet, we have no colors yet. So that's why you don't see colors. We haven't added them. That's part of beginning step 4. But we made our changes. So we need to go to source control and tell it that we completed now step 2. Commit that. I'm going to go ahead and push those to GitHub. And again, once we go back to GitHub and take a look, it says something just happened less than a minute ago. So again, very quickly, compare, complete. It's checking. We hit merge, confirm. Back to home base there. And then in Visual Studio, remember, always go back to your main. And once you're there, synchronize. All right, one last one for this video. I want to go ahead, and I always like to go back to my Explorer view so I can see my files. I like to be in source when I'm doing source stuff and be in edit mode or in Explorer mode when I'm doing editing. All right, so step 3, we're going to go ahead and create another branch. So we give it a name, press enter, it moves us there, we have to publish it. And while that's doing that, it says go to the styles editor and put in the char set rule at the very top. So we're going to go back to styles here, and notice there's already something at the top. So we have to go here and give it a blank line. And we do the at char set, no space, and in quotes, UTF-8, and make sure you put a semicolon at the end. That's it for this whole change. So we make sure we save. Source says there's a change, so I'm just going to type like we've done before. Completed step 3. Hit commit. Send all that over. And then once it finishes here, we will go out to GitHub. Again, it tells us, so here's compare, complete the pull, merge the pull, and confirm it. Back to home base for code, and notice it's got right here, completed step 3 is the last thing we did in this folder. And then back here, go back to main, and synchronize that. So that's it for this first part of the videos here for Mountain Wheels. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.